from Stonemaier Games, and I am joining you from a hectic Stonemaier headquarters this morning. Today is our 10th anniversary launch. We've been waiting to do this for a few weeks, but the products have finally arrived, or they're arriving by the end of the week. And we thought Wednesday would be a good day to go ahead and say that Smitten is now included for free with every Stonemaier Games web store order over the next 10 days, so through October 1st. And Between Two Cities Essential Edition is now on our web store as well, available for pre-order. We have it in stock, and this will be shipping right away. Probably shipping will start next week for all this stuff in case we get an influx of orders. I'm really excited for you to have both of these products, or just one of them. If you already have a previous version of Between Two Cities, you don't need this new version. But if you don't have it, this is a great way to check out the game for the first time. And if there's anything that you've been thinking about getting from Stonemaier Games, any physical product, now is the time to get it, because you will get Smitten for free and you will save 10% on every web store order for the next 10 days as part of our 10th anniversary celebration. Tony, Chad, Regina, thank you for joining me today. It's good to see you. I'm here to answer any questions that anyone has about anything, as long as it's not a spoiler question. And I have a few updates. I also have on my other screen here, I have the e-newsletter up that I just sent out. Let me make sure I've hit everything. It's Smitten, so Smitten's for free with any web store order. The 10% discount, Between Two Cities Essential Edition. Oh, and of course, the new Rolling Realms promos. These are available too. These are now on our web store if you want to check out the 3 new promos. We have the Honeybuzz realm for Rolling Realms, a Feast for Odin, and of course a Smitten realm because of Smitten. I will be playing Rolling Realms live later this week, starting with Friday. So I'll do a Friday, Saturday, Sunday session this week. Yeah, feel free to let me know in the comments below if you did pick up something from the Stonemaier Games web store today. I'm curious what you picked up. John's going to go check out Charterstone. Jason is checking out, sorry, Facebook scrolling. He's checking out Between Two Cities, the promo realms. That's awesome, Jason. Someone else, let's say Chad, is checking out the new Between Two Cities as well. Joshua says he likes the shirt. This is a shirt from Meeple Source. This isn't one that we make, but it's one they designed years ago, and I like what they did with it. Jonas says, are all the offers available in the UK store and for UK and EU champions? Yes, of course. Yeah, everything that I just mentioned is available across all web stores. If you are seeing otherwise for any reason, let me know and we'll look into that. If you do have a very order-specific question, I would recommend emailing contact@stonemeiergames.com, and Joe can deal with you. I can't deal with private order stuff live here, but Joe can definitely help you out. Tara's going to check out Between Two Cities Essential Edition. That's awesome, Tara. This is the essential. I'll prop this up right here and possibly knock it over, but I'll put that right there for now. I'll put the promos up here. There we go. Look at that product placement. And Kevin's picking up Charterstone and the Rolling Realms promos as well. Awesome. Thank you all so much for joining us in this 10th anniversary celebration. Hopefully it is showing our gratitude and our appreciation for you. The only reason that we are here after 10 years is because of you. So thank you so much for that. Let's see what else. Yeah, I also mentioned in the e-newsletter that Tapestry, Tuscany, the Red Rising Standard Edition, the Viticulture wine glasses, and Between Two Castles of Magic and Ludwig are now back in stock on our web store as well. We also have some disc golf discs available at various web stores. And I'm trying to think of anything else. I think that's pretty much it. Let's see. Jonas says he didn't see the new Rolling Realms stuff yet on the EU store, but I'll check again later. Let me take a quick look at that because it definitely should be there. And I want to make sure it's there. So check out the Europe store and look for Rolling Realms. No, they're there. Yeah, just go to the Rolling Realms page and scroll down and you'll see the promo packs there. Yeah. I want to make sure everything is correct here. Yeah, I'm seeing something that's a little off. Not entirely sure about that. Okay, sorry, I'm going to talk out loud for a second, but I want to make sure the prices are correct. Sorry, this is going to be dead air for a second, but I need to send a quick note. No, I'll just wait. Yeah, this is a little odd. Yeah, sorry about that. just trying to figure this stuff out live. And we actually launched about an hour ago so that we could figure this stuff out. But something is looking a little weird here. But that's okay. Yeah, that's okay. Okay, let's get back to the questions. Dominic says, have I seen Daybreak? It's a game by Pandemic designer Matt Leacock, and it's on backer kit. They're going to have the eco-friendly route and not have any plastic, even shrink wrap. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, we actually don't have any shrink wrap on Between Two Cities Essential Edition. We use stickers instead, which we normally don't go with, but it has a smooth box texture, and so we found the stickers remove better from a box like this rather than shrink wrap. We're going to test it out with this product and see how it goes. Sean says that he grabbed the remaining Rolling Realms promo packs. He says, can you give any hints about future promo packs featuring games from other publishers? I did a while ago, Sean, post a big stack of many of the different promos coming out. That's the best hint I can give at this point in time. So you can see this big stack of promos that I released. I didn't show what each of those promos are, but you can see kind of the edges of what they look like. Viola says, compliments to Joe, fast reply and helpful. I'm glad to hear that, Viola. Yeah, Joe is our customer service specialist, and he is great. I'm going to send a quick note here to our web developer. Sorry about this. Yeah, so what we're seeing, yeah, it's just a little weird thing with the discounts that we're seeing and how the 10% discount is being applied. As far as I can tell, the 10% discount is being applied correctly, or maybe it's not. I can't really tell. We can't really tell. This is the first time that we've done a store-wide discount. And we're doing it at the same time as we're offering a product that is automatically applied to orders, to all orders, which is also a new thing that we've done. So, yeah, it's a little weird. We're seeing some weird stuff happening, but this promotion will go on for the next 10 days. So it may not be a terrible idea for you to hold off on an order until, say, tomorrow. I know that isn't ideal for me to tell you to hold off on placing an order, but we're figuring this out right now. Yeah, Eric says that he isn't entirely sure that he's seeing the 10% discount, just the 20% champion discount. Very odd. Yeah, let me send that to our web developer too. Yeah, some odd stuff happening. Please bear with us, and yeah, maybe hold off on actually placing your order for at least a few hours until we figure out until we make sure the discount is working properly. In addition to the champion discount and the free Smitten edition, all that stuff. Bernardo says he just got Tapestry expansions and he's loving them. I'm glad to hear you're enjoying them, Bernardo. Are we ever getting a Euphoria Essential Edition? No, I think so. The reason that we did this differently for Between Two Cities, making an essential edition for it, is the main reason is that Between Two Cities itself is a very, very light, short game. It's around a 20-minute game. It's the closest we have, other than Smitten, to a filler game. And filler games aren't really the typical thing that we produce. And so by adding the Capitals content to the core game itself, we bump it up to be more of a medium lightweight game, which is more in our wheelhouse, and contrast that to our other games. Like Euphoria doesn't need that. Or Euphoria by itself is already almost a medium heavyweight game. So for all of our other games, we have absolutely no plans of doing anything like this. And if we did, really, it would cost too much too. Between Two Cities and Capitals were fairly cost effective, so it made sense for us to combine them and still offer them at a reasonable cost. It would bump the price up way too high for other products. So please do not wait for a hypothetical Euphoria Essential Edition, because we have absolutely no plans on making that. Same with our other games as well. Molly's joining us from Canada. Molly, how did everything work for your Canadian order? Did everything seem like it was working correctly? It looks like we're having some issues in Europe and maybe with a champion discount, maybe only in Europe. Joe says, okay, Joe says the 10% discount is part of the advertised product sale price. It's not removed at checkout. I see. Okay. That is working a little bit differently than we had originally planned. I think that was a surprise for us today. But thank you, Joe, for mentioning that. Yeah, that's gonna throw things off a little bit. But that's good to know. Okay, so the 10% discount is working apparently, but it's not happening at checkout. It's happening on the listed price for the products. So yeah, so that's the news that we have right here. Susanna popped in to see if she could help too. Thank you, Susanna, for offering that. But I think it's okay right now. Carlos says, what was the game that changed the most during development? It's actually probably a game that I'm working on right now that changed the most during development, but a game that's already been published that changed the most during development. Maybe Charterstone. Charterstone changed it quite a bit. Scythe also changed quite a bit. Red Rising changed quite a bit as well. Although not after we figured out what we needed to do with Red Rising. It was before I started working with Alex and I tried out many different versions of the game that were completely different that didn't work. Carlos says, what was the game that changed the least during development? Probably either Rolling Realms or Smitten. Both of them were very streamlined design process. A lot changed, but if you look at the original design for Rolling Realms, it was very public what the very initial version was. It actually isn't all that different from the final version of the game. And last, Carlos says, what was the game that had the most name changes? Euphoria changed. Euphoria was originally called Dystopia, and then we changed it to Euphoria. What other games went through? Usually when we settle on a game name, there's a game also that I'm working on now that we've had to change the name on several times. That's all I can think of right now. Yeah, I think usually once we settle on a name, we stick with it. Jonathan says he picked up all sorts of stuff. Oh, the new stuff. The new Realms Between Two Cities and Smitten. Thanks, Jonathan, for doing that. Chad says, not sure if this is a spoiler. Let's see if I'll just read it to myself. He says, do you plan to use artists that you previously used for new games, or do you prefer to find new artists like you did with Libertalia? I would say a mix of both. If I find that I really like working with someone and their style works well for a new product, then I'm happy to work with them again. If it is a good fit for the project. At the same time, I like finding there are a lot of artists that I haven't worked with that I want to work with, and sometimes an artist just has a really specific style that works perfectly for a game. So I'm always on the lookout for the right artist for the right game, whether or not I've worked with them before. I'd say that. Looks like Dave and Joe are going to have a quick chat about what's happening with the 10% discount. What I'm guessing happened is that the 10% discount has overwritten everything else in the store. And so it's causing some complications. However, the good news is it appears that the 10% discount is working. It's just being applied on the listed products, not at checkout like we thought it was going to. Yeah. Jason says he has to admit he probably never would have tried out Between Two Cities without this new Essential Edition. What are the odds of giving... Oh, someone he has the same question about Euphoria. Just answered that above, Jason. Yeah, I think it's interesting that people might wait for a product that doesn't exist or won't exist. I think it's... this is a different... Between Two Cities Essential Edition is different than Euphoria. Why? I'm curious for anyone who thinks that way, why wouldn't you try out Euphoria, given that it exists, it's available, it has been available for a while. If you are curious about it, or maybe you aren't curious about it because I guess I'm trying to understand, why wouldn't you be curious? Why would you be more curious about a new edition of it, or like this is really just a combined edition of it, not a completely new edition, compared to the option to currently buy the product? Because we definitely have no plans of doing that for Euphoria. Wingspan says, yesterday Elizabeth said in an AMA on Reddit that Wingspan Asia will have more than just cards. Would you be willing to comment further? We look forward to revealing everything for Wingspan Asia on October 5th. So we do have that date pretty solidly set in place now. And that's when I'll start to talk about what is in Wingspan Asia, other than the cards that we've revealed so far. I will say that there are a couple spoiler cards that I've sent out to other people to reveal. So you should see some reveals from other people, not just me. And there was one this past weekend from Dusty at the Mill. as usual, I'm not going to answer spoiler questions. So if there's something that I haven't revealed already, I'm not going to reveal it. But if it is something that I've revealed already, or you're uncertain as to whether or not I have revealed it already, I'm happy to discuss that. Okay, Corey says, is there a way to order multiple copies of Smitten after the free one that's included with the order? Corey, we're not currently doing that for Smitten. And the reason is that we don't want to confuse people into adding Smitten to their cart, thinking that it will drop down to a free product. Smitten is being added automatically by our web store to each order, one copy per order. And yeah, so it's only after the 10-day period, after the free version of Smitten is we're done with that offer, that we will start to sell Smitten on our web store for $10. So we just want to avoid any confusion there. We want to avoid people adding like a duplicate copy by mistake. And I understand that that will impact some orders like yours, where you would normally consolidate things, but I think we're avoiding more confusion there by applying that method to it. Yeah. Let's see. Paul says, I was excited to see that Wingspan was the answer to a question on University Challenge. This is a popular quiz show on UK TV where students from universities compete against each other. Sadly, no one knew the answer from the description of the game, but we were shouting out the answer and we're really excited. That's really cool and a little surprising that trivia nerds wouldn't know Wingspan. But, you know, it's a big world. A lot of different trivia answers out there. Tara says, I'm just learning about Rolling Realms, but may have to grab that as well. I'll have to familiarize myself with this play. Promo packs are like expansions. We play Scythe, Viticulture, and Wingspan on repeat. Yeah, Tara, thank you for asking about that. So Rolling Realms is essentially an expandable card game because whenever you play a round of Rolling Realms, you pick 3 random cards, 3 random realms, and all players play with those realms. So you play a round where you're rolling dice, and you're all sharing those dice and using the same realms. Each of you has the same exact 3 realm cards. And so we found that we can expand the game really easily by adding new realms to the game, and you'll just shuffle them in, and whenever you randomize the realms for a round, then you can use different promos. You don't need to have everything to play. You can just play out of the core box, or you can play with your choice of expansions. So for example, if you are a big fan of Honeybuzz, then you can just get the Honeybuzz realm if you want to shuffle that in. Or if you want to get more stuff, we have 6 available promos at this point. So they do expand the game, but they're really just the type of content that's shuffled in and gives you more variability and more of a puzzle with the Rolling Realms core game. Jason says, oh yeah, Keen Eye Jason and good memory Jason says, I remember during your stakeholder update earlier this year, I saw Vincent Dutrait listed as a contributor. And that's right. This is the game that I worked on with Vincent Dutrait. This is a 1 to 2 player cooperative game, Smitten. This is the game that we're including for free with our anniversary celebration. Okay, so Joe is confirming that the discount is indeed working. The 10% discount is working. It's just coming off the listed price for the products, not the price in cart. It's not being applied to the cart. Yeah, wow. I think this is a good reminder that we need to be. I mean, we prepared so long to make this work with the 10% discount being applied in addition to the champion discount being applied to cart. I don't see a way that we can do this again though. Like we try these little experiments, but Joe I know is being flooded with customer service questions right now about why this 10% discount isn't working. Yeah, this might be the last time. So join us for this because this might be the last time that we offer a store-wide discount without the use of a promo code. Perhaps a promo code will make it work a little bit easier. An automatic discount and a free product. This has caused huge headaches for this and when we had to do it for Viticulture World earlier this year. But, you know, we'll try to make it work over the next few days. And I appreciate you bearing with us. And yeah, I appreciate your questions as well. A few people are confirming that they're seeing the 10% discount working, but it's working on the listed price, not in cart. Tim says he had a good time in St. Louis this past weekend. I'm glad to hear that, Tim. Let's see well, I'll keep going for questions. I have a few random topics to cover today, but I want to make sure that that I'm seeing any questions in the comments here. Samantha says, any chance of a comprehensive spiral-bound rulebook for Viticulture similar to the Scythe one? She hates having a bunch of loose rule sheets. Samantha, I think that is a possibility someday. The challenge is we only really want to do comprehensive rule books if we know that we're not making new expansions or new content for a game. Because if we come out and say, hey, this is the complete rule book for a game, and then we put out another piece of content, then you still have multiple rule books. So we haven't necessarily said that for Viticulture. I think it is possible we might have more content for Viticulture in the future. That isn't a hint. I really don't know. We don't have anything planned, but I think it is possible. So I think it is possible, but we need to wait until we make sure that we're done with a product before we do that. And it needs to be a product like Viticulture where there are multiple expansions, multiple rule books, things like that. Zach says, with some game companies making big boxes of popular games that include expansions, do you think Stonemaier would ever do that to include the content for a game in one big box, especially when you decide you are finished with a game like Scythe? No, we get asked this a lot, but I have talked about it on the blog and in some of the FAQs. That's something that I don't think we'll do. I think the a la carte method of letting people pick and choose the things that they really want, and sometimes offering organizer boxes like we're doing with Wingspan, we've done with Viticulture, we've done with Scythe, doing that, but letting people still pick and choose the things that they want, rather than offering everything all at once. It's too expensive. I don't think it works at scale because we don't know really how many to print. Yeah, I think there's an almost 0% chance that we will do that. However, we will continue to reprint products and offer organizer boxes when they make sense for a product or a brand. Kate says she just placed her order that contained the last game that she doesn't own from Stonemaier Games. She's a completionist for Stonemaier Games. That's awesome, Kate. Thank you so much for getting the Between Two Cities Essential Edition. William says he's looking to put in an order and he's getting a shipping thing called Midweight US. How long does that take? Can't seem to find an answer on Google. William, for all pre-orders, it usually takes our fulfillment centers around a week or two to ship. If you're a champion, your order will ship earlier than non-champion orders. And the shipping time, once it ships, usually takes a few days to get from our fulfillment center to your house. I don't know the exact time. So if you're hoping to get a game at an exact date, we can't really provide that. It's just a rough estimate. Near says, I know designers are not committed to publishers, but I was wondering why Elizabeth's new game isn't published by Stonemaier. Any perspective you can share on this? We publish games from a variety of designers, and we really encourage designers not to be focused on one single publisher so that they aren't dependent on one publisher. And for the Fox experiment, I learned about it around the same time that you did. So it wasn't a game that Elizabeth thought was a good fit for Stonemaier Games, or she didn't submit it to us, or she wanted to work with Panasaurus Games. So it wasn't a game that that she pitched to us as a game that we could consider. Mark says, why would you wait for a new edition? Perhaps you've played it and have access, but haven't added it to your own library. I guess that makes sense, Mark. But then if you enjoyed it, why wouldn't you just order it if the game is currently available? Paul says, I just ordered the 3 new Rolling Realms promos plus Smitten plus postage, and the total was £13.44. Does that sound right? I guess so, Paul. I think so. I don't have those prices in front of me right now, but that sounds about right, especially including shipping. Jason tries to explain it like this. We're talking about new editions. He says, it's not that I'm waiting for a hypothetical Euphoria Essential Edition. It just seems like a good fit for that treatment. I'm very curious about Euphoria as a game, but there are so many other games to play right now that I'm not in a hurry to get it. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think other companies, this big box thing has kind of had maybe a negative impact on companies like Stonemaier Games, where we don't do that. We try to offer our products a la carte. So it's easier to get your foot in the door Euphoria is already an expensive game, but paying $70 versus $90 for it, I think it's more inviting for people to have the opportunity to try the base game before they feel the need to buy everything. Maybe people will be happy with the base game and they don't feel like they need the expansion. So, yeah. Sean says, do you know when My Little Scythe will make its way back to Europe? It should be on its way, Sean. It might be in the current shipment. Let's see Joe's probably dealing with a lot of emails right now. I don't know exactly, Sean, but if you do sign up for a back in stock notification, we'll let you know when it is back in stock, but I don't think it is back in stock today. Yeah, let's see. I have a little update from Dave saying, Dave is seeing that the 10% discount and the champion discount is working properly. So that's our web developer confirming that the 10% discount and the champion discount is working properly. So as far as we know, that is working. Okay. Yeah, I need to check about the My Little Scythe. Let me make a note about My Little Scythe in Europe. Thank you for asking about that. Blake says, what's my favorite cereal? I eat oatmeal every day for breakfast. So I would say that. He says, best part of my week. I don't know if I have a distinct best part of my week. I have lots of things I look forward to every week. And the last Facebook scrolled past the last question. I'm sorry I missed that. Can you repost that, Blake? Andrew says, what was the most fun part of designing and developing Scythe, Rise of Fenris? Probably working with Ryan. Ryan was wonderful to work with. Great co-designer. Great for playtesting. Great for writing. Sam says, I noticed the new Rolling Realms promos are listed as $4 pre-discount, while the old promos are listed as $5 pre-discount. Is there a reason they're different prices? They really should be $5, Sam. I think this is a weird thing that we're seeing with the 10% discount. I don't really know why that's happening, to be honest. But you're right. The base price for promos should be $5, not $4. Juso says, this might be confidential, but is there anything you can say about how much artists usually get paid for board game art? It varies vastly from artist to artist. I usually ask artists, I tell them what we're looking for, and I say, please offer me, let me know what price would be fair to you, and I pay that price. So, and that varies just hugely from artist to artist and from what you're asking them to make for you. Sean says, have I had the chance to play Planet Unknown? I have. Yeah, I've actually played it a couple times, including just a couple days ago. Yeah, I think it's a great game, Planet Unknown. I also played, when I played last night, I played Wizard and Cat in the Box last night. I think that was the only gaming I've done in the last week. I've had lots of game design time and a little bit of disc golf, but no other tabletop games. Michael says, congrats on these new releases. I would just like to confirm, what's the amount that will be declared for the purpose of shipping, gross or net amount? It should be the total amount, including the shipping cost. So it should be the total amount there. Yeah, the shipping plus the cost of the product. But it should be the amount that you pay. So it's the total amount that you pay, Michael, not the total value. If there's like a discount involved, as there is right now. John says the discount is pretty clear to him and worked well. Okay, so I'm glad to hear that. That's working for that. I think what we're seeing is the discount is working. It isn't just the web store isn't communicating that as clearly as we hoped it would. So I just got an email from Dave. Let's see if there's any other. No other update there so far. I feel bad. Joe is definitely getting swamped right now, but he is the best person to handle many of these questions right now. All right. Sean says, with the library of games being authorized somewhere expanding, would you consider keeping an online record of games owned in our accounts? We have, Sean, yeah, we've explored that on our web store. I would love for the web store to show you like what you own and what you don't own, but we haven't found a good way of doing that yet. We do have, very new, we have a new scoring app. So, and it still hasn't been approved by the Google Play Store somehow. I don't know how that's possible. We submitted, I swear to you, I know usually Android users get annoyed by iOS coming first. We submitted the new, it's called Stonemaier Scores app to the iOS and the Google Play Store at the same exact time. iOS approved it within like a day. And as far as I know, Google Play still has not approved it. That's very odd, but we do have a free scoring app that we're offering as part of our 10th anniversary celebration, or really ongoing basis. We launched it as part of the celebration. So if you go to the iOS store, if you are an iOS user, you can get the Stonemaier Scores app. We will be updating it with better and more functionality. And I'm saying this because maybe someday on the app, you'll be able to like click on the app and show which games that you own and which games that you don't own. I think the app might be a good way to do that. Sean asked about the future of Stonemaier games on Board Game Arena. I can't spoil that, Sean, but I can say that Wingspan is now available on Board Game Arena. Billy says, do I have any fun vacations planned for the last quarter of the year? I do not, Billy. Do you? Do you have any fun vacations coming up? Charles says that he isn't sure about the 10% discount working on top of the champion discount in the Europe store. Charles, every indication that we have is that it is working, but I will send your comment to Dave so that he can take a look and see if it is or not. Yeah, we'll look into that. Chad says, is there a particular candy that only comes out around Halloween that you must pick up each year? I can't think of a Halloween specific candy like that. There are some these little crunchy Easter eggs that I enjoy, but I don't know if there's a Halloween one that I specifically target. Gerald mentioned the video I posted this past Sunday about production secrets, and he says, unfortunately, some cards in his game need asymmetrical backs. So I talked about the value sometimes, not always, but sometimes, of having the backs of your cards be designed so they're correct in either direction. And that way, if at some point during like the reprint process, expansion process, that a card sheet gets flipped around, that the cards are still the right side up. At least the backs of the cards are still right side up. Gerald says, I see a few games nowadays without symmetrical backs. Do you think if the manufacturer makes it upside down that it's their fault and they will produce new ones and send them to customers without an extra charge? I doubt it. That would be a manufacturer mistake, but it is a huge expense to ship to customers worldwide, again, if they make that mistake. However, I think it's fairly unlikely that it will happen, and it's something that you can catch in the process of reviewing the PPCs and the NPCs during the production process. So I think it's highly unlikely. It was just that there was a famous case of it with Lords of Waterdeep. Gary says, no bird box yet. That's right, Gary. Yeah, the nesting box will be available at the same time as Wingspan Asia. We'll do the full announcement for Wingspan Asia on October 5th, and then early November is what we're looking at for the pre-order for both Wingspan Asia and the nesting box. The first printing of the nesting box will include the Wingspan Asia components inside the box. Carol says, do Biddy and Walter have a favorite Stonemaier box to use as a bed or scratching post? If so, which ones? I don't know. Biddy will get in almost any box, even tiny boxes. They like the standard box size that we have in many of our games. They also like the bigger boxes. I know Biddy has sat in the Charterstone box while we were playing through that campaign. I don't think they have a distinct favorite, though. William also says that he isn't sure if he's seeing the 10% discount applied to the 20% Stonemaier discount, or champion discount. As far as I'm hearing, William, it is being applied, but obviously your experience is different, and that's valid. So we are looking into that to see. We will have, so we're not at risk of running out of any of these products, and so feel free to wait until tomorrow if you want to place an order, and we'll make sure that we have everything figured out by then. You could also probably wait just a few hours. I know our web developer is looking into this to make sure that everything is working properly. Thank you, Tara, for becoming a champion today. That's awesome. I really appreciate that. Travis says, is there any intent to create new playmats or resources in future Wingspan expansions? Or if the concept is so Travis, is partially a spoiler question. I can say that we have no revised mechanisms being applied to playmats in the plans. I'm not going to reply about resources because that's something that I think is fairly likely that at some point we'll introduce a new food token or something like that to Wingspan. But in terms of playmats, yeah, you'll find out as we go. But I can say that as always, we will try to respect the purchases that customers have already made. So I know the customers have purchased nice neoprene playmats for Wingspan. And so if we were to make a new mechanism for the playmats, we'd probably do it as like an overlay or something like that. And perhaps even make a neoprene mat overlay or a neoprene extension or something like that. So we are not going to make any purchase that you've already made invalid. And this is a good time for me to remind you that I think some people felt like the Oceania playmat replaced the original playmat, but that actually is not the case. The original playmat is still valid and still used for many different combinations of Wingspan expansions. You're really only using the Oceania playmat when you are playing with Nectar. So we don't make things that invalidate things that we've already made. I know that isn't exactly your question, but I think that might be a follow-up question, so I thought I'd address it up front. Alex says, if everything goes well with shipping, thank you, Alex, for chiming in. The European store should have My Little Scythe next week. So if you are looking to get My Little Scythe in Europe, you could wait until next week to place an order to get the 10% discount still and get free Smitten with that order. Thank you, Alex, for chiming in about that. Zach says, are there any Kickstarters that you're currently waiting on to deliver? He says, I just had Endless Winter show up yesterday, and I'm looking forward to getting it to the table. I think the newest one incoming at some point in the near future is Flamecraft. I think there might be one other one as well, but Flamecraft is one that I backed that I believe should be arriving fairly soon. But there are a lot that I think will be arriving in the near future. There's also Lands of Galzir. I feel like I saw someone say that their copy was delivered, and so that's one that I did back on GameFound, I believe, and should be delivered. I guess if people are receiving it, then maybe mine will be delivered at some point. I don't follow it all that closely. Cameron says, when does Between Two Cities start shipping? So for any of the pre-orders that we're doing right now, Cameron, because we're getting kind of a flood of orders, they should ship to champions over the next probably week and a half, and then after that they'll start to ship to non-champions. Yeah. Let's see. Gary says, was there an update on the date of the big box for Wingspan? So the nesting box and Wingspan Asia, we'll do kind of the full reveal for them on October 5th, and we plan on putting them on our web store in early November. Matthew says, I just wanted to thank you again for your reply when I emailed you about the Book of Rulebooks podcast. Have a great day. Oh, yeah, my pleasure. I hope that book is coming along well, Matthew. Mike says, did you ever consider releasing Viticulture World as a standalone product? We did consider that, but we realized that it would have added a ton of redundancy between that and Viticulture because it would have needed all the meeples, the vine cards, the wine order cards, the meeples and the tokens. Like all the wooden tokens are quite a bit. And I'm forgetting some things. The original rulebook, there's just too much overlap that it would have needed. I don't think would have been a good way to serve customers who have already invested in viticulture. And I guess we could have printed both, but yeah, we thought about it and decided it wouldn't be a good approach. Dusty from the Mill is chiming in. He says he's placing his order from the Rolling Realms promos now. He's excited to see this new format where we're releasing 3 of them all at once instead of just one promo at a time. I'm glad to hear that, Dusty. I have an email update from Dave. Let's see. He says, it all looks like it's working correctly to me. If someone's seeing it... Okay, so if you do have a very specific example of an order that's not working, like if you're not seeing the champion discount and the 10% discount, send us a screenshot of it. Send it to contact@stonemeyergames.com. Send us a screenshot of it, of the discount not working, and we can look specifically at your order because we are seeing it in general working. We're not sure. It might be that you aren't signed in as a champion. That could be it. Make sure you're signed in as a champion if you haven't already done that. Krista says, are Wingspan expansions expected to be added to Board Game Arena? Probably not, Krista. I don't think we'll do that. I think we'll just have the base game there as a way of introducing people to the game, let them play the game, let them enjoy the game, and if they really love the game, they can always get the expansions for the tabletop. The expansions will be on the full digital version, of course. The European expansion is already on the full AI digital version. Jason says he likes the look and function of the Stonemaier Scores app. Any chance you might partner to incorporate the Scythe Kick app? That has become essential for us when playing Scythe, especially for managing the automas. Scythe Kick is completely independent of us. I think it would be pretty tough to integrate the two because we have no direct connection to Scythe Kick. I do appreciate, I believe it's Tim that makes that app, but he also sells it. So we would have to buy out that app and apply it to our app because the Stonemaier Scores app is free. We want to offer that for free. Sean says, do I follow the St. Louis Blues? Hockey is one sport that I don't really follow. No, I do follow American football and European football. I follow basketball a little bit, but yeah, both footballs are the sports that I mainly follow. And disc golf, of course. Billy asked about vacation in the coming months, and he says he's going to the World Series of Board Gaming as a guest of a competitor. That's pretty cool. Let me know how that goes. I look forward to seeing you talk about that on your YouTube channel, Billy. And he says, I appreciate that you usually align these live chats with launches. I'm sure it's stressful at times, but it's nice to hear live dialogue for any questions that arrive. Oh, I appreciate that. Yeah, it is a little stressful to have these things kind of evolving in real time, but you're right. It means that we can respond to them in real time too. Michael says, how many times have you played your own games after they've launched? Depends on the game. I played through the Charterstone campaign twice in the final published version. Rolling Realms has probably been my most played game because I play it essentially solo on camera. I played it, 33 times at this point. The next live play of Rolling Realms will be this Friday. I'll do a round then. I would say average maybe a dozen times, sometimes less, sometimes more. I try not to say to my game group, hey, can we play one of my games tonight? I just kind of I put it out there if they want to, and if people bring it up, then I'm happy to play it or teach it. But yeah, really, it depends a lot on the game, I would say. Um, Molly says that Dog Park should be arriving within a few weeks as well. Ooh, I'm excited to get Dog Park. That's great. Chet says, What new books are you reading? I'm finally finish up The Martian in the next day or two. I am reading right now what I believe is my first Stephen King book, which for a pretty voracious reader as myself, I just had never pursued Stephen King books. I've read a novella of his, but I don't think I've read a full novel. And that novel is called Fairy Tale. And it's been really good so far, but also a little confusing because nothing fairy tale like at all has happened yet in the book, and I'm pretty far into it. So I'm curious if I've misunderstood the hook to it. I don't even remember the hook at this point, but I think it is the newest Stephen King book. I saw a blurb about it, and I was like, a while ago, and I thought that was cool, and then showed up on my Kindle, and I'm enjoying it. But yeah, it's I don't know. He's a fantastic writer, though. I'm really impressed by that. And if any of you are Stephen King readers, what is your favorite Stephen King book? Ideally, one that isn't scary. So maybe favorite Stephen King book and favorite non-super scary Stephen King book, because I read books when I go to bed, and I don't want to get scared right before I fall asleep. Jason also mentioned Dog Park is incoming. David says he tried to add the full tapestry collection to an online order and didn't see the additional 10% at checkout. So David, yeah, the discount is being applied to the each product itself, not at checkout. That was something that we learned today that's happening a little bit differently than we thought. So Billy has a detailed explanation here that might help. He says he's a champion and didn't see it at first either. However, for me, when I looked at the normal price and then the listed price, there was a 10% discount before it was put in the cart. Then when he added it to the cart, it reduced the additional 20% for being a champion down as well. Okay, yeah, that's how it should work. Other than the confusing communication about the 10% discount being applied in the cart. Sounds like the champion discount is the one being applied in the cart. Owen says, is your mate from Design Space excited for the return of Keyforge, and is he starting his old Keyforge podcast back up? So this is Jake, my disc golfing buddy, and he also runs the podcast Decision Space. I don't think we've actually talked about the return of Keyforge yet. I haven't played disc golf with him in a few weeks, so I need to ask him about that. I don't know. I highly doubt he's going to start up a new podcast, but he might bring Keyforge into the discussion at Decision Space from time to time. David says, Tapestry Big Box. When is that happening? There actually is no Tapestry Big Box. The original box of Tapestry is big enough to hold all Tapestry stuff. It just needs a better organizer. So we are working on a comprehensive organizer designed to hold all 3 expansions, all Tapestry content in the original Tapestry box. Yeah. Let's see. Chad says, I found that many board gamers are introverts like yourself and himself. I am definitely an introvert. On paper, you wouldn't think introverts would like board gaming with other people. Why do you think this is? So this is something that I think is one of the biggest reasons I love board gaming. I think games provide that magic circle, the construct where you're saying, okay, this is the thing that we're going to be excited about, that we're going to talk about. This is the construct. These are the rules. This is the structure of it. And I think introverts like structure when it comes to conversations. Introverts do like to be with other people. I think introverts need to be around other people just as extroverts do. But I think we like structure to that element as well. Another kind of example to this is I think introverts often like having a little job or a task to do. Like if I'm at a big event with a bunch of people, mingling can be exhausting. But if someone comes up to me and says, "Hey, Jamey, can you refill the ice for me, or can you serve drinks for the next 10 minutes?" Then it's a job. Then I have like a construct, a structure to what I'm doing there, and that can be very freeing as an introvert, having that structure. So I think games scratch that same itch for introverts, as far as I can tell. Jerry says, congrats on the product launch. Just got myself the new Rolling Realms promos and the Red Rising Collector's Edition. That's awesome, Jerry. Thank you for doing that. Would you recommend reading the book first before playing the game for the first time for Red Rising? We were careful not to put spoilers in Red Rising, so you can really go either way. You could even read the book while you're playing the game. I do hear from people that they tend to enjoy the game even more after reading the books because they can see what all the characters are doing and how their mechanical abilities make thematic sense. But I've also heard from plenty of people who play the game first and then read the books and kind of remember the characters that they played with. So I think you can do either one, or you can do it at the same time, and hopefully have a good experience with it. Chad says he recently read the Stephen King book, The Institute, which is kind of a Stranger Things-like book. That's cool. Yeah, I need to check that out. I do enjoy Stranger Things. Let's see. And Sky also said that that The Institute is their favorite book. Okay, that's awesome. I'll definitely have to check out The Institute then. I'm making a note about that. Some other little things happening here. Let's see. I helped some friends move into a new house in St. Louis this past weekend. That kept us very busy. I helped with the move a little bit. Moving is one of my least favorite things, but so I was more focused on kind of keeping them well fed over the course of the weekend. I also got my COVID booster. The new COVID booster, at least in the U.S., includes protection against the two new variants, or the relatively new variants. They've been going on for a while. But I got the booster in this arm, I got the flu shot in this arm, and fortunately I had no side effects. Arms were a little sore, but I played disc golf the next day, and I highly recommend it. If you are thinking about trying to protect yourself and the others around you, I highly recommend the new COVID booster if you have access to it. And blog post recently. I posted one blog post last Thursday about that Stonemaier Scores app, if you're curious about that or need links to get to the app itself. And also talked about Wingspan on Board Game Arena. That was the digital news from last week. I also did a blog that I really enjoyed on Monday about asking for customers to put in a bare minimal amount of effort to and how that can kind of make a customer feel invested in it. And I connected this to the move on this past weekend, because there's something called the IKEA effect, where if you put together a piece of furniture, you will value it. Generally, people value it higher, or the person who puts it together will value it higher than if someone put that furniture together for them. So applying that IKEA effect to kind of to games in general was an interesting thing to do in the blog. And as mentioned by Anthony earlier, the video this past weekend was about production secrets. So some tips and tricks and secrets that you can think about if you are ever producing something, generally a game. I think most of it focused on tabletop games. Let me look at my email over here a little bit to see if there's anything else that I need to relay to you. No news. As far as we know, everything is continuing to work correctly, but just not communicating it as clearly as we hoped on our web store. Yeah, I think that's all the news that I have right now. Let me know if you have any other questions about how things are working, either today or in general. Again, for the next 10 days, if you place any Stonemaier Games order on our web stores in any region, Canada, Australia, Europe, the US store applies to every other region that isn't covered by those regions, you'll get a free copy of Smitten. Available products include the 3 new promo packs from Rolling Roams and the Between Two Cities Essential Edition. And we do, of course, have all of our regular stock of inventory on our web store. Any of that, you get a free copy of Smitten and a 10% discount on every web store order that you make over the next 10 days. So that'll end at midnight on October 1st. Probably don't wait until then, because that exact time might be different based on your time zone. But you also don't necessarily have to place an order today. We should be well stocked with pretty much everything over the next 10 days. So feel free to wait until things settle down a little bit. Although, as far as I can tell, the discounts are working properly. The Smitten edition is working properly. And if you think something didn't work out, you are welcome to, I would say, send a screenshot to contact@stonemeiergames.com. You could also go ahead and place an order and then send the order to Joe to take a look at, because we can always apply things retroactively. We can add things to your order. We can invoice you afterward if we need to invoice you for something that you missed. We can also apply discounts afterwards. So we can do all that stuff after you've placed the order. It's maybe a little bit easier to do it up front. And I think a lot of the replies will be us saying like, oh, actually the discounts were applied. Your order is already correct. But I also don't want to bog down Joe too much, because Joe, I think, is probably being swamped right now. Joe is our customer service communications specialist here. Dustin says, congrats on 10 years. Thank you, Dustin. He says, we love Stonemaier Games and are so thankful for the high quality materials used. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Yeah, we even for Smitten is our first completely no plastic product. And we still put a lot of thought and care and attention into the components in Smitten, including like the textures of the rulebook, the cards themselves, the card stock. And actually, I've had a few people ask me recently why we don't offer like print and play versions of our games. And the reason is that we put a lot of time and effort into the component quality and the composition of our games. We want them to be played as we design them to be experienced, not printed at home. So I get that sometimes shipping is difficult for certain regions, but we also try to be able to ship to various regions around the world at reasonable costs and reasonable shipping speeds. So we're trying to serve you in that way, but we think that the best way that we can serve you is by you experiencing our products in their best form, in the way that we've designed them to be experienced. Chad says, I have to tell you how excited my wife was when watching your production secrets video when you showed how the Red Rising box has a horizontal logo on the side when you place the box vertically. I love finding subtle design features in things I already have. Great work. The horizontal logo. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, we try to do that with all of our boxes. Let's see if we did it for Between Two Cities. So here is a vertical side. So if you want to store it on the shelf this way, you have a vertical side. Here is a lengthwise side. So if you want to store the box like this, you can do that. Here is... I've gone there. Here is another horizontal. So it looks like we did 3 horizontal sides on this one and 1 vertical side. We always like to have at least 1 vertical and 1 horizontal side. Typically, I try to aim for like 2 of each, so you can choose your art. But yeah, I guess we did 3 and 1 on this one. Michael kindly says, the entire reason I ever bought your first game was simply for the beauty of it. The gameplay just makes it that much better. Thank you, Michael, for saying that. Yeah, we put a lot of thought and care and effort into the aesthetics of our games so they can look beautiful on the tabletop and feel beautiful too. The weight of things, how things feel or stack, all that stuff. I'm not saying we're perfect by any means. We definitely have made mistakes with components, but we're always striving for that. Andrew says he's not seeing his Stonemaier discount apply. Any idea on how to make sure it is? So Andrew, we've heard this from a few people, but what we're seeing is that when you actually check out, the discount, as far as we can tell, actually is being applied. So if you really don't think it is, feel free to go all the way to checkout, and before you complete the checkout, take a screenshot and send it to contact@stonemeiergames.com, and we can try to see what's going on there. You can also just place the order, and if you still don't see the discount applied, also just contact us, and we can apply the discount retroactively. George is joining us from the Isle of Skye. Hope you have a good day, Jamey. Thank you, George. That's awesome that you're joining us from there. The name of one of my favorite games, the Isle of Skye. I hope you're having a blast up there. Maybe someday we'll make a realm for the Isle of Skye, a promo realm for that area. George also wished us a happy anniversary. All right, I'm going to go check in with Joe and Dave and see how they're doing with all these questions and all the web store functionality. Thank you for celebrating the 10th anniversary with me today and over the next 10 days. Really, no rush to do anything today. If you aren't ready for it, it'll last through the next 10 days. The 10% discount, the free inclusion of Smitten, and these products will be available hopefully on our web store after that 10-day period too. I think we made plenty of these to sell to you in the future. So Joe just wanted to pop in to say one more time, a reminder: the discount is applied to the product to the product page, not at checkout. That's definitely the case for the 10% discount, and also probably for the champion discount, I think is what Joe was saying as well. All right, have a great Wednesday. Thank you again for celebrating with us, and I will see you next Wednesday at the same time. See you then. Take care. Bye.